Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Jerusalem will not end the war until its objectives are fully achieved. The Biden administration is set to ratchet up back-channel pressure on Jerusalem to bring the war to a close. Israel pledges to reassert security along its northern front via diplomatic or other means if necessary. Israel will continue to battle the Islamist terror groups in the Hamas-plagued Gaza Strip throughout 2024 and will not end the war, which was forced upon it by Hamas and its Gazan affiliates on October 7th, until all of its objectives are achieved.
הלחימה תימשך במהלך שנת 2024. אנחנו פועלים לפי תוכנית להשגת מטרות המלחמה. לפרק את חמאס במרכז ובדרום.
The IDF spokesman also addressed intensifying clashes along the Lebanese-Israel border, which are daily instigated by the Iranian proxy Hezbollah.
חיזבאללה בתפקידו, או תפקיד שהוא לקח על עצמו, כמגנו של חמאס, ירה היום לעבר בסיסים של צה"ל בצפון. לא היו נפגעים לכוחותינו. אנחנו חיסלנו את החוליות שביצעו את הירי ותקפנו שורה של מטרות, בהם מתחמים צבאיים משמעותיים של הארגון. אנחנו ממשיכים להיות ערוכים במוכנות גבוהה מאוד בצפון.
While the IDF continues to fight tirelessly against Hamas in the Gaza Strip and in response to repeated attacks against Hezbollah in Lebanon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in opening remarks to his weekly cabinet meeting in Jerusalem, relayed a message to both Israel's enemies and allies alike about Jerusalem's intentions moving forward.
יש לי מסר ברור לאויבינו. מה שקרה ב7 באוקטובר לא יקרה שוב. זאת המחויבות של הממשלה בראשותי, וזאת הסיבה שלוחמינו מחרפים את נפשם בשטח. המפקדים והלוחמים, בסדיר ובמילואים, בצפון ובדרום, חוזרים ואומרים דבר אחד. הם אומרים, לא חוזרים עד שמבצעים, ואני אומר, לא עוצרים עד שמנצחים. אסור לעצור את המלחמה עד שנשלים את כל יעדיה. חיסול החמאס, החזרת כל חטופינו, והבטחה שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום על ישראל. אני אומר זאת הן לאויבינו והן לידידינו. זאת האחריות שלנו, וזאת המחויבות של כולנו. צריך להניח בצד כל שיקול אחר, ולהמשיך יחד עד לניצחון המוחלט. הניצחון הזה יושג רק כשנשלים את יעדינו, וכשנחזיר את הביטחון לתושבי הצפון והדרום כאחד.
Netanyahu further stressed in response to the Iranian-directed attacks by Hezbollah that Israel aims to end the attacks out of Lebanon, either diplomatically or via other means.
אני מציע לחיזבאללה ללמוד את מה שחמאס למד כבר בחודשים האחרונים. אף מחבל אינו חסין, ואנחנו נחושים להגן על אזרחינו ולהשיב את תושבי הצפון בבטחה לבתיהם. זה יעד לאומי שמשותף לכולנו, ואנחנו פועלים באחריות כדי להשיגו. אם נוכל, נעשה זאת בדרכים מדיניות, ואם לא, נפעל בדרכים אחרות.
Extensive international efforts to avoid the war from expanding to other regions, including Lebanon, are ratcheting up. Among others, EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell visited Lebanon over the weekend, during the course of which he emphasized the need to avert a reality in which Lebanon is dragged into war with Israel.
It is imperative to avoid a regional escalation in the Middle East.
من الضروري تجنب التصعيد الإقليمي في الشرق الأوسط.
It's absolutely necessary to avoid Lebanon being dragged into a regional conflict. And I am sending this message to Israel too.
وأنا أرسل هذه الرسالة أيضا إلى إسرائيل.
Nobody will win from a regional conflict.
While the top EU foreign policy and security chief failed to mention Iran's involvement in the escalating situation along the Lebanese-Israeli front, the caretaker foreign minister of the government of Lebanon, which is known to be held under Hezbollah's influence, highlighted that the latest round of talks focused on the need to re-implement UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which essentially ended the Second Lebanon War of 2006.
We discussed the avenues to guarantee a comprehensive and full implementation of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701.
It is worth mentioning that while the Islamist Hamas, which launched a brutal war against Israel on October 7th, is logically responsible for the bloodshed in the Gaza Strip, and repeated attacks by Iranian proxies against Israel should rationally attribute responsibility to the leadership of the Islamic Republic in Tehran as well as its regional tentacles, Israel's Western allies nonetheless are ratcheting up back-channel pressure on Jerusalem's leadership to end the war, hoping it would consequently de-escalate Iran's hostile engagements. Addressing the mounting back-channel pressure, which the Biden administration is evidently applying on Jerusalem, former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, who visited Israel this past week, voiced trouble in an interview to Sky News.
I've been troubled to hear of back-channel pressure that the Biden administration is placing on Israel to, whether it be to have another ceasefire or to slow down military operations. I believe that this is a moment where the United States of America needs to send a clear and unambiguous message that America will stand with Israel today, we will stand with Israel tomorrow and every day until the threat of Hamas is destroyed once and for all and peace and security can be reestablished for the people of Israel. I continue to be hopeful that our party will give the American people an opportunity for a new beginning, because as I saw traveling around Israel this week, and as we all have witnessed around the world, from the widening security threats here in the Middle East, to Eastern Europe, potentially in the Asia Pacific, to the struggles in our economy, the crisis at the American border, we need new leadership, and we need leadership that can bring our country together and move our country forward.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to arrive in Jerusalem this evening for a two-day visit to Israel, as well as the Palestinian-controlled territories of the so-called West Bank. Prior to the Israeli leg of his trip, Washington's top diplomat visited Turkey and Greece, after which he traveled to Jordan, where he held extensive discussions with his Jordanian counterpart Ayman Safadi, who's regrettably been a leading voice in disinformation over Israel's intentions and activities vis-à-vis the Hamas-plagued Gaza Strip. Moreover, Secretary Blinken also visited a distribution point of the World Food Organization in Jordan, which transfers goods to the Gaza Strip, irrespective of the fact, which has been corroborated by both Israeli and Western intelligence officials, that the humanitarian goods entering into the war-battered Gaza Strip have been extensively snatched by armed men affiliated with Hamas and its terror affiliates.
This is an effort that's absolutely essential, and it is imperative that we maximize assistance to people in need. Not only do we get it to Gaza and into Gaza, but once it's in Gaza, that it can be effectively distributed to people who need it everywhere in Gaza. We'll be working on that in the days ahead as well.
Subsequently, during his visit to Qatar, which is a leading supporter of Hamas and which hosts its political leadership in Doha, Secretary Blinken rejected voices among junior lawmakers of the Israeli government of the need to transfer Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip, claiming that these statements are both irresponsible and inflammatory.
As Israel moves to a lower intensity phase of its military operation in the north, the United Nations can also play a crucial role in evaluating what needs to be done to allow displaced Palestinians to return home. Palestinian civilians must be able to return home as soon as conditions allow. They must not be pressed to leave Gaza. We reject the statements by some Israeli ministers and lawmakers calling for a resettlement of Palestinians outside of Gaza. These statements are irresponsible, they're inflammatory, and they only make it harder to secure a future of Palestinian-led Gaza, with Hamas no longer in control and with terrorist groups no longer able to threaten Israel's security.
Secretary Blinken went on to address the tense situation in the Red Sea, where the Iranian proxy, Ansar Allah, which is led by the Houthi tribe, has repeatedly attacked maritime shipping in the strategic waterway.
These attacks by the Houthis are hurting people around the world, most of all, the poorest and most vulnerable populations, including in Yemen, including in Gaza. That's why the United States launched Operation Prosperity Guardian, together with more than 20 countries, to defend the safety and security of commercial shipping across the Red Sea. It's also why over a dozen countries have made clear that the Houthis will be held accountable for future attacks. We'll continue to defend maritime security in the region as part of our overall effort to deter and prevent further regional conflict, to ensure the free flow of commerce that is so vital to people around the world.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I hope you all had a blessed holiday season and a joyous transition into 2024, during which I would like to encourage you, please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.